All right, as you can see, it's doing the same thing it was doing in the tier 16. I got porcupines on this map. I guess it's okay. This is a pretty ugly lantern. I got a lot of stuff to contend with here. I don't like the mob types. I don't like the mods on them. We're going deeper into Delirium. There's map bosses in this map. But look at the Detonate Dead and Desecrate proccing off. I finally remembered to use Val Detonate Dead, so that's good. Definitely possible to die here at some point before we reach the boss, but I mean, this is just obliterating everything. It's just dying so fast. Well, hey there guys, what's up? It's Snoo. I'm back again with another build showcase teaser for 3.25. This is all up in the air, okay? This is not a formal thing. I don't know the patch notes. I don't even know exactly when the league is releasing. Just getting a lot of work done ahead of the time, and this is one I really enjoyed making. A lot of creativity went on in making this build, very much unlike the Freeze Edition Elemental of the Spectrum. That was way more straightforward. I already knew what I was doing with that one. I had to stay disciplined, kind of go outside my comfort zone by restricting myself to only snapshot at the early game. Don't make too many mandatory uniques. Make it new player friendly. Not even level 20 gems, and see what the build can do, and we did it. That one's done. A very good build in its own right. This is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. All right, the shackles are off. The creative juices are flowing in max. And this, if you're somebody who likes bow builds with Magic Find, with something really quirky off the beaten path, but still super strong if you set it up the way it's set up here. If that's a challenge you want to take, well, this is definitely going to perk your interests, I'd say. What is this build? Well, it is a, let's see, I guess the full name would be something like Rain of Arrows of Saturation, Mana Forge, Arrows, Rain of Arrows of Saturation, Double Cast on Crit, Poison, Detonate Dead, Magic Find, Pathfinder. Oh yeah, it's Magic Find build. Forgot to mention that. Yep, because I can. In case you didn't know, there's a golden rule in Path of Exile, Path of Building. The longer the build name, the better the build is. Okay, I didn't make the rule. Just ask somebody in the know. You'll find it to be true. There's a truth bomb for you. So that's how you know this build's really good, because it's a crazy long name. And it turns out, much to my surprise, this build's already been made, at least as an endgame version, not as an earlier Magic Find version. Jung Grown kind of made this build already, because naturally, you know, I was brainstorming everything, and then I went to online to see if it was already made, and it happened to be the case. So I will link his video in the description below. He deserves a lot of credit for this. I took a great deal of inspiration from how he set things up. But yeah, this is definitely a different build. I have my own signature on it, especially the helmet and the curse setup is quite different. But at any rate, let's get to it. We'll start with the passives. Fast forward edition, not spending a lot of time on this because again, it's just a teaser. But the biggest thing I want to point out here is, well, first of all, Pathfinder, pretty typical stuff. Magic Find with the Divination Distillate with 100% uptime. I guess I'll get this out of the way. We got the Flask Mastery to recover 4% life when you use a flask. You have to have this to be able to use Divination Distillate at full life. I don't know why. With the increased duration and then replenishing remedies, we don't need the Uber Shaper Belt to keep up Divination Distillate at all times. We get it just through this alone. Now this means the other flasks don't necessarily have 100% uptime. That's okay. Divination Distillate is crazy strong, and I know you guys know that because it gives a bunch of quantity of item drops, but did you know it gives you a lot of elemental res? 70% with increased effective modifiers that I've set up. 70% all res is what it gives. So if I can make that permanent, I can give myself a lot of free resistance. A lot of free elemental resistance. And that's one way I was able to make this a Magic Find build. Because normally you can't get the resistances up high enough when you do that on a regular build. Now everything else is just all over the place. This is once again a double 50% or 25% Herald setup, without any sort of anoint needed to do that, because the Mana Mastery, we got Ghost Dance because we got a decent amount of energy shield going on without any sort of energy shield drain. We got Suppress where we normally do 100% there, and we, you know, got a lot of life. Got crit going on here. Things start to get a little weird when you look at this a little closer here with like crit.multi, what crit chance blind attacks, and you know, accuracy with more resistance and corpses and curses and what is this build again? Yeah, that's what happens when you make a build like this. It can scale all kinds of different ways, and that's my motivation for this. By using these build enabling gloves, we can turn fire damage, which is what Detonate Dead does, fire damage into poison, and scale it not only off of elemental damage, corpse damage, or fire damage. We can also scale it off of dot damage, dot multi, chaos, and poison damage, as well as element gained as extra chaos damage, a very strong scaler in this case. So that is exciting news. All right. So everything in here, I mean, it kind of looks kind of normal. I mean, this is just a testament to the power of the Ranger tree. Everybody already talks about this, how strong the Ranger tree is. The passives are amazing. Who needs clusters? I don't even want clusters with a tree this strong, with the poison going on over here and everything. And then to top it off, we're doing something a little bit weird by going up here because Undertaker's ridiculously strong for Detonate Dead, and the curses, if I can make a lot of uses of curses, which I can, which is a major motivator to doing the fire to poison, is because arguably poison, or dot damage, especially poison damage, gets the most value out of a major curse setup with despair, temp chains, punishment, enfeeble. All 4 of those. And since there's 4 curses I want to use, my signature stamp on the build is Asenath's Mark to automatically cast the curses one at a time with each attack, which is fairly fast attack. I'm not scaling attack speed too much, but that is how I'm getting the curses out. I don't really like the Arcanist brand setup personally. It's an extra button. You have to keep casting it down all the time. Or a Ranger, or cast speed is not that good anyway. Why deal with that when you just cast them automatically? It sacrifices a helmet slot for it, which is fine if you can make it work. If you can get the resistances attributes, and I guess the magic find is not that important for the helmet slot anyway. So that's how we're making it work. You'll see some of the numbers on here are very important to see, like 100% crit chance, 90% hit chance, cutting little corners there, but I think that'll be okay with Rain of Arrows. We got a nice Fizz Max hit. This is with an Immortal Call Up though. We got decent unreserved mana. We got 83% evade, which is good. We got suppress, so if I'm phasing, that's 100%. And yeah, let's go ahead and make that a thing. Okay. And a lot of damage. What in the world's that damage coming from? Guys, this tree is so strong, I can add 2 more points, 4 more points. Oops, not that way. Like that, I could add these 2 here. I could add this here. Could add this here. Okay, I'm restricting myself pretty heavily. I mean, this gets out of control very quickly on damage. If you just add a few more damage points, really solid damage points, or even just this one right here, actually. But you have to make a league start build. So 96, I can't go any more than 96. That's a little too much. I'll try to make it 95 if possible. I didn't even look at this Frenzy as well. But yeah, that's the tree. A whole lot of stuff going on. A really cool tree to work with. Now let's get to the skills. All right, so first thing you need to know is that the bow has cast on crit as a modifier roll. So this is a 7-link bow. This is their damage link here. Rain of Arrows, cast on crit with Detonate Dead of Chaining. Inspiration, Unbound Ailments, Elemental Focus, and Cruelty. That's a strange combo. For crit. Damage over time, hits, elemental damage. So we get to make use of the absolute strongest support gems because we're scaling so many different ways. Really helps with cranking up the damage numbers right there. Next up, Rain of Arrows stacks to Mana Forge and cast on crit. I like doing this kind of setup. Usually it's with Frenzy, but I usually stick either Sniper's Mark or Warlord's Mark in there maybe. And one other thing that would be useful in this case, we have a supremely useful skill to cast called Desecrate. Maybe Unearth could be used here. I'd be curious to see if that might be better. I didn't explore it too much. But I do have the corpses, by the way. I have the 12 best corpses on the character, so later in the showcase we'll see that. But anyway, Warlord's Mark doesn't scale damage because it's attack-based damage through Berserk, is what I mean to say. If we see Berserk is down here. And then Rage is attack-based damage. But you know what? I don't care because Rain of Arrows is 100% crit chance already. It's constantly going down and hitting everything, and then the Detonate Dead is exploding. While it is poison-based damage, you see Detonate Dead still does some damage on the hit base, and it's proccing constantly through of chaining, which means Warlord's Mark is going to actively grant effectively through Berserk. It's going to grant me all kinds of additional speed and defense, which is the most important thing. And attack speed for Rain of Arrows is still somewhat important, of course. And then Warlord's Mark is also giving me endurance charges, very reliable endurance charges. And this build unique in that Sniper's Mark has no value. Okay, there's no other value. The only other mark that makes sense is probably Assassin's Mark, if I needed the crit chance somewhere. Even the crit multi wouldn't be of any value there. So wow, Yeah, Warlord's Mark's really nice. It's not going to help on bosses, except for the endurance charge. Again, it still does the endurance charge. And we get power charge and frenzy charge too through the gear, very reliably. Next is the Astronaut's Mark curse setup. So 4 curses slammed in there. Each attack grants me a wide AoE curse effect, and you'll see it's pretty reliable, okay? It's not throwing all curses down at once. Not as strong as Kitava's Thirst, maybe, if you had something reliable there, but still extremely strong. It removes an annoying button from the build that also makes you vulnerable because it makes you stop as well. Then we got Malevolence, Grace, Herald of Agony. We're going to need Herald of Agony for the curse, or no, the poison chance. And of course the damage is really crazy. So if I remove this, damage just tanks because my poison's not even 100% anymore. Flame Dash for movement and skill, and then Automation Berserk and cast from damage taken Immortal Call. This is especially a good choice when you have such reliable endurance charge acquisition through Warlord's Mark. Again, either against bosses or out in maps. It's going to be feeding me so many endurance charges. It's ridiculous. Way better than like Enduring Cry, Call to Arms setup in that respect. Oh, so that is the links there. Now, the items are the most interesting part of the build, I'd say, with some really mandatory things. I'm actually going to get the build enabling uniques out of the way first. We got these gloves, have to have them. We got this amulet, which is, I mean, look what happens to my crit chance if I remove this amulet. So we're using this amulet, allocating overcharge for the 5th curse through Anathema, another mandatory unique. And this is how I'm able to get 4 useful curses and the Warlord's Mark in there. So yeah, Anathema, Ungol's Harmony, Volker's Guidance, and Astronaut's Mark. All mandatory. The only thing in here that's not mandatory and not a Magic Find piece is Dendrobate. Why is Dendrobate here? Well, that's why. It's too much damage. It's just too much damage. I'm sorry. The scale's like crazy off poison and poison duration. Yeah, I forgot another scaler, poison duration. So we do have, conveniently, 300 dex and 150 int. Make it work. I don't get any value out of the chance to poison, by the way. No value out of that, but it's okay. Still crazy strong, as you can see. So you can run Greed and Embrace if you want. It's gonna mess up the build a little bit, but yeah, I think I'll try to just take the best of all the options there and go ahead and run Dendrobate or Rare Chest, maybe, if that's possible. And then we got some Magic Find pieces like Bisco's Leash, Fintor's Gamble, which does not have to be very well rolled to meet the resistance cap, thanks to the 100% uptime Divination Distillate. Gold Worms here too. And we got Atziri's Promise. Look at how strong this flask is. This is what I'm talking about. Elemental damage, extra chaos is crazy. And the chaos damage leeches life during that with just a combination of this flask for the leech is also insane. Like when the flask is down, I notice my leech drops off a cliff. Can be a little bit troublesome, actually. Divination Distillate is getting 70% elemental res due to increased flask effect. Crazy. And I mean, you know, I suppose this is the most valuable item in the whole build when it really comes down to it. Then we got just kind of a typical setup. We're a Pathfinder. We get 100% stun avoidance if we want it. So that's there. Jade and Silver for the Onslaught. Onslaught doesn't really, on paper, doesn't improve the damage much, but certainly feels good to have it on there. And the Jade Flask, because we're going to try to evade attacks. Now, the weakest thing about this build is the fact that it's multiple layers of delayed damage. A far cry from front-loading freeze damage and stopping enemies in their tracks. We got to cast Rain of Arrows. It's got to do Mana Forge Arrows, Rain of Arrows again. It's got to cast on crit for Desecrate and for Detonate Dead. And even the Detonate Dead isn't just killing things automatically because most of the damage is through poison. So that's multiple layers of delayed damage. It means that this character must have some tankiness going on. Has to be at least a little bit tanky. And there is a version of this build that lets go of all the Magic Find gear. It runs like Lightning Coil and runs, you know, Ruby, Taste of Hate, and Topaz Flask, and really strong. Jungrown set up that. So if you want to kind of see what that setup looks like, check out the video in the description. His is more, way more tanky. But, you know, I decided to go with the Magic Find route and cut the corners where I could. And that does mean my Fizz Max hit takes a hit, especially when Immortal Call is down. But that's not terrible, guys. I mean, it's still 10k max hit. And so I'm still pretty comfortable with that. Not bad for a Magic Find build, still. The Grand Spectrums are all here. We get 100% Elemental Ailment immunity through this setup. Ancestral Vision may be the most expensive item in the build, actually. If you snapshot at a certain time, at the league start, but very convenient way through thick skin wheel to get 100% elemental ailment immunity and grand spectrum elemental damage. It's crazy strong. So I don't need corrupted blood implicit anywhere in those jewels because we're getting it right here. Got it covered. Very, very nice. So that is it for the items. On the config, Younggrown had this set up this way. I'm guessing this is supposed to just replicate some sense of what happens when you shoot rain of arrows and what the more practical, realistic attack rate is with 30-something arrows coming down per hit. So that's why that's there. I'm just going to do what he did because I guess that makes sense. Gives you a little bit more accurate sense of the damage. The corpse life is also important. This is the lowest number people ever put in here, and I did take the Undertaker wheel, so and I do have the corpses on from like item level 84 content. So I don't know. This is worst case scenario, I guess, is the corpse life here. Max power, frenzy, and endurance charges in combat, even against bosses. Rampage is in the build too, but not against bosses. But whoa, look at that. Look how much damage scaling from 100% increased damage. That's nice. And adrenaline is not in the build, but would be nice. So rage, even when I have rage, doesn't help very much. Okay, again, just for defenses and movement through rage and berserk. We've corpse recently, phasing, blinded, poisoned enemies on low life, so that's when punishment kicks in there. Not doing elemental ailment, and the reason why Warlord's Mark works and why we get rage and why we're stunning enemies is because Detonate Dead of Chaining still does some hit-based damage. And the cast on crit from Rain of Arrows makes it ping-pong everywhere all at once. And it still works. We're not doing any cold damage. No chill, freeze, nothing. Now we move on to the calculations and we can see there's no cold damage on Rain of Arrows or Detonate Dead. Now Detonate Dead is going to be responsible for stunning things, of course. It's actually going to do some decent hit-based damage. Actually does more chaos than fire hit-based damage, which is pretty wild. Oh, and that's because I kind of forgot to show one more thing. Forgot to show the bow and the quiver here. All right, so these are very particularly crafted bow and quiver combo. This is a shaper bow. Starts with essences for crit chance. Need to hit the crit multi. Probably clean it up. Cannot roll attack mods. And slam cast on crit mod prefix, which is a little hard to hit. You could do with gem fossils maybe instead, but I think this is probably the smarter way. So it could be an expensive ride to get this exact setup, but you could slam prefixes twice and just do away with the damage over time. Like, you really want the fire damage as extra chaos, though. That is so strong, the damage. So that's how you set up the bow. The enchant is also really strong, too. Then we have the quiver, which is Elder Influence, so we need the poison hit chance here. I'm going to show you in the calculation in a second why, or where we're getting all the poison. It's very important to see that. Area of effect's not crazy important, so because area of effect's not crazy important, this isn't really hard to craft, especially if you ignore that. But if you triple slam the prefixes with cannot roll attack mods again, you're going to get life, damage with bows, and either pierce or area of effect, and there might be one other thing. Pretty decent chance of landing that. Now, back to the calculations. Poison. Okay, our poison is 3 seconds-ish. And our poison hit chance is 100% with Detonate Dead Corpse Explosion. Where is that coming from? Well, we got 20 from the quiver. 20 from the Curse Mastery. I forgot to show that here. The Curse Mastery is actually very important, necessary. And because Astronaut's Mark is what I'm using, this is reliable. This is absolutely reliable. By the time the corpse explosion goes off, an enemy will be cursed at least once, for sure. Herald of Agony, of course, getting us there. 20% from the gloves, and then a little bit from the passive tree. And this is, I believe, 5% over. 5% over cap. Works out nicely. Real nice. We stun immune here. We're elemental ailment immune. We're 100% suppress. Okay, if I... Oh yeah, the max fizz hit, or I kind of already showed you. This is with Immortal Call up. However, elemental hit chaos hit okay. You know, we got decent chaos res, I think. Okay, we're meeting the attribute requirements. The resist is still here. Everything's there. We got 51% quant and 87% rarity, 75% additional with Rampage up. And now it's time for me to show you a build showcase. So here it comes. Okay, here's the map showcase, and once again, I'm using the same atlas I used before. I'm going to do something a little different this time, however, but just to remind you, this is the item level 84 cluster farm for tier 17s. I think it's going to be an excellent way to make currency early, especially if a build can jump into those fairly quickly. This build definitely capable of doing those maps, probably even capable of doing the bosses. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, everything here is, not even going to talk about it. I've talked about it many, many times over. We're going to keep the video short. Maze of the Minotaur map. So this is an old school way that people used to showcase builds, and this will give a nice little baseline for it. I'm not going to do Jungle Valley this time. It's going to be no delirium, white map, super simple. We'll see a Minotaur kill so you can get a sense of how strong it is. And then we'll crank it up like 6 or 7 notches and do a tier 17 with delirium, the full-blown strategy. All right. Here it comes. Oh yeah, still gotta contend with this whole thing. I forgot. Oh, okay. Some of the build guides that I made was on standard, so it'll be nice. I don't have to deal with that. First, real quick thing here. We got Divination Distillate with 100% uptime. Check out the consume or charges coming back. I already get 40 charges by the time this flask expires. That is freaking awesome. So that is how I'm able to rely on the resistances staying fully capped at all times. Where did my damage go? Aha! Okay. On the wrong bar. Okay, now check out all the arrows going down, and then you can see the curses going out too. I mean, it's a pretty big curse effect. 4 times every single curse is on there. So that'll be pretty easy. I'll go ahead and do this Legion since I see a Legion going on here. Might as well. But, I mean, just look at what's going on. It just looks like I'm just dropping bombs. Artillery bombs down behind me. I almost feel like I'm playing some kind of, like, ballista or trap mine build or something. Because it just doesn't feel the same, right? I'm not, like, standing there attacking and killing everything immediately. Legion, pretty easy, guys. It's pretty easy to do Legions with this build. I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how strong this is at opening up Legions. So, again, this is just baseline. But, wow, that's pretty good. I should have used a Val Detonate Dead, because I do have Val Detonate Dead. Check out the Desecrate and Detonate Dead of Chaining's proc rates down there. We also have Warlord's Mark, which is important, and you can even see Immortal Call going off as well. And that can give you a sense of how active this build is. And this is all passive stuff. I'm not pressing any of those things. So this is the power of Cast on Crit, Detonate Dead. Just seeing it. Rage up, Berserk up full time, almost full time. This is, this is something I discovered a few leagues ago with opting for Warlord's Mark and getting the Berserk up, which did improve the damage a lot. I'm not getting the damage this time, but hey, still getting all this amazing movement speed. And yeah, you can see I'm not fully cursing everything. I'm not killing everything. I have to run through stuff. It still has a chance to hit me, which can be bad. But here we go. We got a good old Minotaur. And he burrowed. And I guess he got a hit off. Damn. Survived 1 hit from him. That's a good thing, I guess. Okay, so that is the Minotaur map. White map. Let's show you something a little bit more upscale, shall we? Alright, so this is the strat that I've been doing. This is an abomination map that is particularly well rolled. I'm always going to show you one that's actually decently well rolled for the build. 100% more monster life. I would usually never even touch that with a normal build, but this one I can, right? Because it's all about corpse life. And the corpses I spawn from Desecrate still scale with this as well. Enfeeble is going to hurt me a bit, but everything else is fine. Grasping Vines, I don't know. That'll be alright. Okay, accompanied by Map Boss. I didn't want to see that. That's for sure. The spiders can be a little bit annoying too. This is actually pretty annoying. Yeah, it's a pretty annoying one. Not gonna lie. Well, anyway, we'll put it in. And here's just to verify all the gear that I said I had in here. I got it all, right? It's all here. Basically, virtually identical to what I showed you before. You can see the jewels, the grand spectrums, just like I mentioned, all here. And this lovely little section up here that's definitely not affiliated with a ranger build at all. Alright guys, here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. What's going to happen? Oh, I'm so glad I'm getting all these Headhunter buffs. Oh, wait. No Headhunter. It's still League Start. All right, as you can see, it's doing the same thing it was doing in the Tier 16. I got porcupines on this map. I guess it's okay. This is a pretty ugly lantern. I got a lot of stuff to contend with here. I don't like the mob types. I don't like the mods on them. We're going deeper into Delirium. There's map bosses in this map. But look at the Detonate Dead and Desecrate proccing off. I finally remembered to use Val Detonate Dead, so that's good. Definitely possible to die here at some point before we reach the boss, but I mean, this is just obliterating everything. It's just dying so fast. So fast. I got all the cluster rewards coming out. I guess I didn't drop a very valuable cluster yet, but that's all right. I have to get hit by monsters. I'm not freezing anything here, guys. So, you know, I'm just straight up getting hit and stuff. But anyway, here we go. This is the boss fight. I hope it goes okay. I'm going to try to kill. Let's go first. Oh, dead. Now, we still got a lot of portals left. I'm going to see what I can do in the remaining 5 portals. I know this build is capable of doing these bosses. But it's not a gimme. Oh, God, it's that. I hate that mechanic so bad. Not a gimme. Right, one down. Oh! Without Magic Find and a tankier version, it would definitely be more likely to survive some of this. So I am kind of kicking myself in the teeth a little bit by making a Magic Find version and then also trying to do this with a fairly League Start version. Yeah, it's a little too much. I'm surprised I'm dying as much as I am, though, because I have killed some of these bosses, but, you know, the showcases, whatever happens, happens, and, you know, this is how it's going. And now I've got the full Monty of debuffs going on here, and I really don't stand a chance. Alright, well, I guess I can't kill the boss this time. You just have to take my word for it. If you watch me on Twitch, you can see a boss dying sometimes here. I mean, I'm just getting one shot by that. Alright, well, that's it for the showcase. I'm not going to bother with the other portal and definitely not going to finish the boss in that time. So, it can do Tier 17 bosses, but again, not a gimme. But certainly handled the trash all right. And it can probably do anything you want in Tier 16. So this is a really cool build. That's really cool seeing these things flip over and over again. I don't know what's going to happen to Detonate Dead. It's probably going to get nerfed, but again, we'll plan for the worst, hope for the best. Got other builds to choose from. I'd like to hear what you guys think about this build as a potential League starter, as a Magic Find build. It could be a lot of fun. And yeah, hopefully we don't get some bad League mechanic next time. Maybe it'll be good for that too. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, and tell me if you're looking forward to any more builds that I might be coming out with. Well, because I definitely am, in short order. I'll see you guys there in the next video.